Hi, I'm Kirk Abrigo, and welcome to the first day of the success of your life. Now I say that because the simple fact you're listening to this CD means you're like a lot of people. You want something better for your life and something better out of your life. The fact you're listening to a CD entitled Action to Success means you have taken the first step towards your success. The first step towards accomplishing the goals you set for yourself, the first step towards succeeding where you might have failed before. And why do people fail? Well, one way to fail is to never get in the game at all. One way to fail at your dreams or accomplishing your goals is to never start. Look at life as a basketball game. You will always miss every shot that you do not take. The biggest reason for failing is not taking action. Because let's face it, without action, nothing happens, nothing gets done. Without the desire, the drive to get moving, you will always be where you are right now. Hey, if a life of mediocrity is what you want, then fine. Stop the CD now and don't listen anymore. If you really want to make a life of your choosing, then keep listening, and by the end of this CD, you will have all the tools you need to get moving into your success. Whether you want to lose 30 pounds, or buy a car, or get a new job, or expand your business, whatever the goals you set for yourself today is the day you get moving towards them. I'm going to start off with the story about Riley and Jeff. Riley and Jeff were two sales reps that got sent over to a third world country to see if there is any opportunity to sell shoes to the villagers. So they get there, they're not there more than 5 minutes when Jeff gets on the phone to his main office. He nervously says, "Wait, don't send me any shoes, stop the shipment of shoes, there's no opportunity here to sell shoes because nobody in the village wears shoes." Not more than 2 minutes later, Riley's calling on the phone back to his home office. "Send me everything you have, there's an incredible opportunity here to sell shoes because nobody in the village wears shoes." Who do you think will be the more successful salesman? Riley, of course. Why? Because your success is based on your perspective. That being said, one of the many things I'm going to discuss with you today is what really causes failure. What really is behind people who are so seemingly prepared but never take action. Not only will we look at the reason people fail, but I will show you how to eliminate those reasons, how to conquer them so they don't become a roadblock or to some of us an excuse anymore, so that you can clearly see the opportunities for success that are always in front of you. Other topics we will discuss in this program include 1. What everyone is entitled to from this life. 2. How to get over the most common stabilizers, fear of failure. 3. How to have faith in yourself and keep it. 4. How to think your dreams into reality. 5. How to invoke the laws of attraction. 6. How to tap into the power within you to influence the outcome of your future. 7. How to avoid error thinking that leads to failure. And last but not least, how to motivate yourself on a daily basis so that you maintain your momentum to success. Okay, so I imagine you're thinking, taking action to success sounds a little obvious. But I can't tell you how many people I talk to who just sit there day in and day out with goals they want to accomplish but never do, and then wonder why their lives isn't turning out the way they want it to. What they don't realize is that you can have all the plans, you can have all the dreams, you can have all the resources at your disposal, but if you don't take action, then having all those tools means nothing. I heard a story once that put everything in perspective for me. It's a story about a man named Edward Rourke. This takes place a little before transatlantic flights were common, so it goes back a bit. Edward was an iron worker in England who wanted to travel to the United States. He wanted a better life for himself. Plus, his friends who were in America wrote letters to him telling him how great America was and that he should come over here for a better life. Edward, having no real ties in England, one day decided he would work hard for a year and save up enough money to purchase a ticket on a cruise ship. So he did. He worked extra hours, pinched his pennies a bit, but after about 9 months, he finally had barely enough to purchase a ticket on a cruise ship to America. The times being as they were, the ship would take about 2 to 3 weeks to cross the ocean. To prepare for his long trip, with the little bit of money he had left after buying his ticket, Edward went out and purchased a suitcase and all the cheese and crackers he could afford. He then filled half the suitcase with a few articles of clothing, and the other half of it was filled with cheese and crackers. Once on board, during mealtimes, the other passengers went to a large dining room filled with tables and plates and an abundance of delectable foods. For breakfast, lunch, and dinner, the spreads were amazing. But for each meal, every day, Edward would simply go into a corner and eat his cheese and crackers. He would smell the delicious aroma of the foods coming from the dining room and often daydream about how tasty it would be if he was able to afford it. Many nights and mornings, he would see and hear the other passengers making jokes about how stuffed they were and how they were going to have to diet after leaving the boat. Yet Edward stuck to his crackers and cheese because he couldn't afford anything else. So one day, near the end of the trip, a gentleman, after having a big dinner, saw Edward eating his cheese and crackers and walked over to him. The gentleman asked Edward, "Excuse me, sir, I couldn't help but notice you're always over here eating these cheese and crackers. Why don't you come into the banquet room with everyone else and eat?" Flushed with embarrassment, Edward leaned forward to the gentleman's ear so that the conversation could only be heard by the two of them and said, "Well, I'll be honest with you. I only had enough money to buy the ticket. After that, I didn't have money to buy fancy meals." The gentleman raised his head and his eyebrows with surprise. He looked at Edward with a smile and said, "Sir, don't you realize the meals are included with the price of the ticket? Your meals have already been paid for." Whenever I think about that story, I think about how true it is in relation to God, life, and what people are entitled to out of this life. Once we are born, once we enter into this world, it doesn't matter where we came from, what social standing, what color, what race, what religion. Once we are here, we are entitled to everything life has to offer because life is all inclusive, just like Edward's ticket. Unfortunately, like Edward, a lot of people don't know that and are doomed to stay in the corner eating cheese and crackers. If you ate cheese and crackers before, after today, it's filet mignon. Unless you're vegetarian, of course. Either way, no more cheese and crackers for you. It doesn't matter what it is we need. Life will always supply for us as long as we know how to ask for it. Everything we need and want for our life's success is constantly around us, coming in and out and through our lives on a minute, hourly, daily, yearly basis. It's just that we choose not to notice it. Why? Because we're not focused on it. But once we get focused, once we go from someone who draws graphic novels to someone who has a desire to print t-shirts, that How to Print T-Shirts book that we bought years ago and just stuffed in our shelf and forgot about seemed to one day be the sharpest image in a completely blurry room. We've been taught to believe that life brings things to us when we're ready for it. But the truth is, the only person, place, or thing that ever decides when we're ready is ourselves. Readiness is not something you wait for, it's something that you decide. Too many people wait to be ready as if they're waiting for a bus. Make the decision to be ready for your greatness. What exactly are you waiting for? The time is now. Everything is already there. You just have to recognize it, and then once you recognize it, you must take action. Massive action. Now let's talk about how to overcome the most common roadblocks to achieving our success. This is a very important list because the things on this list almost always leads to failure. So we'll list them, then I'll tell you how to eliminate them. Let's start with that nice juicy master of disaster, the king of sting, the bane of pain. Ladies and gentlemen, fear. Oh yes, it's not Mike Tyson who was the king of the first round knockout, it's fear. Fear is the king of the first round knockout. In fact, many of Mike Tyson's opponents got knocked out in the first round because they were afraid. Mike Tyson was great at using fear for beating his opponents. He was so good at it that before he even got into the ring, his opponents were already beaten. It was just a matter of going through the motions. What they didn't know was that he was just as terrified as they were, but he didn't let it hold him back. But you saw what happened when he got into the ring with Evander Holyfield, right? A man whose faith was stronger than his fear, he got beaten. The thing about fear is that it's a double-edged sword. Whether fear is helpful or harmful is all a matter of perspective. Fear can be an incapacitator, but on the same token, fear can be a great motivator. Fear can stop you in your tracks, or fear can also get you moving. So fear can be a good thing or a bad thing. Let's address fear as it pertains to being a bad thing. Let's talk about the fear we don't want, the fear that stops us. Let's talk about fear of failure. Fear of failure is one of the greatest fears people have. It's close to the fear of public speaking and fear of rejection. Successful people overcome fear or use fear to drive them, to motivate them. Unsuccessful people are the people who let fear stop them in their tracks. Most people limit themselves because of fear. They don't even achieve a fraction of what they're capable of because they're stopped by fear. I've discovered certain steps you can take to conquer fear, so you can move forward towards the results you desire in your life. I'll call them fear beaters. Let's start with the most important one, taking action. Not in the future, not 2 days from now, but now is when you start your path towards your goal. The power is in the now. The minute you formulate a goal in your mind, that's the time to start moving towards it. Never leave that sight, that moment of setting a goal without doing something towards its attainment. Never ever let the moment to start moving get away from you when you can grab hold of it and start the first step towards achieving your goal. Movement conquers fear. Action conquers fear. Once you start moving and doing things and making things happen, you'll feel fearless because now you know that the wheels are turning. The events are being put into place for your success. You don't have time to be afraid because you're too excited about being in the moment of movement. Every morning in the jungle, when the sun rises, a deer awakens, knowing it has to outrun the fastest lion or it will be hunted to death. Every morning in the jungle, when the sun rises, a lion awakens, knowing it has to outrun the slowest deer or it will starve to death. The point I'm trying to make is, it doesn't matter whether you're the deer or the lion. When the sun rises, better be running at your best. So I want to challenge you to make a decision right now. I want you to stop the CD for a few minutes and set a goal. It may be something you've thought about before, but now I want you to write it down with the very notion that you're going to accomplish it no matter what. What are you going to schedule? What are you going to put into motion? Is it a book you're going to buy? Is it a gym membership you're going to purchase? Is it a meeting you're going to call? Whatever it is, commit to yourself that you're going to follow it through to the end. Commit to yourself that after you've listened to this CD, you will get moving towards its achievement. The bigger the action, the bigger the commitment to following through. Do something explosive, like a sprinter exploding off the marks. Remember, action is a decision. All that success requires is you making the decision to take action right now. No excuses. No time to cry about what you feel you can't do or what you feel is too much for you. Make the decision that there is nothing you cannot do and there is nothing that is too much for you. Your very success depends on your actions. Don't wait around thinking someone is going to place it in your hands because you're going to be waiting forever. You have to go out and get it. You have to get moving. You have to get into action because only then will you start to see the results you want in your life start to take shape. So if you want to lose that weight, join a gym and go. If it's too much for you to go to the gym, buy a stationary bike. But do something to get you moving. If you want to get into business, buy that business book and read it from cover to cover. Move! Once you start, don't stop. You can't stop. You won't stop because stopping is not an option. Tell yourself that you will see it through to your success. You will gain momentum with every movement and you will be unstoppable. From here on in, when you wake up every morning, run at your best. Don't get eaten by laziness or fear. Get up and move. When I was in high school, there was this kid in my gym class. He was heavy set, but one of the amazing things about him is that he could do a backflip or a back somersault. It was one of the things that made me gravitate towards him. I thought it was fascinating that a kid that was that heavy could actually be athletic enough to pull off a backflip. So every now and then in gym class, I would say to him, "Hey Clarence, can you do a backflip for me?" He'd always be happy to do it. It also gave him a chance to show off a bit, so he never said no to me. So each time I asked, he would get on that mat, step back about 5 steps, and start off running. About 7 steps into the run, he'd round off. Now, if you don't know what a round off is, it's that little cartwheel right before a back somersault. Once he gets out of that round off, he would hit that backflip like Spider-Man. Wham! Sometimes he would give me 2 at a time. Wham, wham! It would always put a smile on my face. So one day I asked him to do it. To my surprise, he said no. So I said, "What's the matter? Are you feeling well?" He said, "I'm fine." It's just the gym teacher is using most of the long mat for the other class members to stretch out. So I pointed to a single mat that was about 5 by 7 feet. So I said, "Just do it on this mat." He said, "I can't." I said, "Why? Are your legs broken? Do you have a headache? Why can't you do the backflip?" He looked at me and said, "I'm too fat to do a backflip from just standing still. I always have to have a running start. When I start running and I get into the round off, once I commit to the backflip, the momentum carries me over. That's what happens with movement. When you start to move into action towards your goals, you have to keep it going. It will create a momentum, and the momentum will carry you over. It's important that you always recognize that taking action can also come in the form of what may seem like inaction, doing nothing. Sometimes waiting patiently for an outcome is also taking action. Taking action may mean going to college for 4 years to get your desired degree. So taking action doesn't mean the end will be immediate. It will take time depending on what it is you're taking action towards. So understand that action could also mean patience. Patience, not procrastination. Very important for you to be mindful of the difference between the two. Procrastination is to do nothing. Patience is to do nothing yet. To overcome fear, you must act. And when you act boldly. Fear beater number 2 is persistence. People give up way too quickly as soon as they run into a bump in the road. You have to learn to persist. Practice it. The best way for you to learn to persist is to burn your ships. What does that mean? I'll explain. In 1519, there was a Spanish conquistador named Hernando Cortés. Cortés was a great motivator, and he also had the gift of gab. He was charismatic and also very persuasive. So persuasive, in fact, that he convinced more than 500 soldiers and 100 sailors to set sail from Spain to the shores of the Yucatan in Mexico in order to seize the riches known to be hoarded there by the Aztecs. As armies go, back then, that was a really small band of soldiers. The question became, how is a small band of soldiers going to arrive in a strange country and overthrow a large and powerful empire that have been there for over 6 centuries? Cortés was on a mission, and he had only one objective. He was not going to be stopped from attaining these great treasures. For Cortés, the answer was easy. It was all or nothing, a complete and total commitment. Now here's how Cortés got the buy-in from the rest of his men. He took away the option of failure. It was conquer and be heroes and enjoy the spoils of victory, or die. When Cortés and his men arrived on the shores of the Yucatan, he rallied his men for one final pep talk before leading his men into battle, and uttered these 3 words that changed the course of history. Burn the ships. He met with a lot of resistance from his men at first. Burn the ships, he said. He then uttered these words, if we're going home in their ships. With that, Cortés and his men burned their ships. And by burning their own ships, the commitment level of the men was raised to a whole new level. A level much higher than even the men, including Cortés, could have ever imagined. Amazingly, the men conquered the Aztecs and succeeded in doing something others could not do for 6 centuries. Why did they win? Because they removed any excuses they had not to win. They took away every escape that would prevent them from persisting and moving forward. It was either do or die. By removing any option to escape or any chance to fall back when things got tough, Cortés and his men were forced to focus on how they could make the mission successful. You must have a do-or-die attitude about success. We have way too many excuses. Once they are removed, then the only road is a one-way road to the treasure. The third fear beater is for you not to take failure personally. Sometimes taking failure personally can be helped along by negative people in your life. Don't let anyone tell you or ever lead you to believe that just because you failed means you're a failure. Failure is not a personality trait. It's more about behavior. Just because you made a mistake doesn't make you a failure. To gain leverage over you, some people in your life may try to make you believe that. But don't listen to it. A failure is nothing but a setback, and setbacks are setups for comebacks. You gotta think of failure as a learning experience. Think about what you may have done wrong, how you can use this experience to improve on yourself and your future outcome. Treat failure as an opportunity to learn. Ask yourself these 4 questions. 1. What was the mistake? 2. Why did it happen? 3. How could it have been prevented? 4. How can I improve the outcome next time? Based on what you learned from the answers, use the knowledge to do things differently so the next time the results are different. The 4th fear beater is giving yourself credit for the successes you already have in your life. Make a list of all the things you've accomplished in your life, the past year, the past month, even the past day. We're very good at committing our failures to memory. We hardly ever think about our successes. Focusing on our failures not only affects our self-esteem, but it's a great way for us to start losing faith in ourselves. Faith in ourselves is extremely important to our success. Why would we start something at all with the notion that we're already going to fail? People usually do things because they expect to succeed. Thinking you will never succeed no matter what you do will cripple you and you will never move. So when things seem to get you losing faith in yourself, there's something you can do to change this feeling. Have a mantra or an affirmation that reminds you of who you are. Something that reminds you that your ticket is all-inclusive. Something that reminds you that you're the favorite child of an almighty God and you have nothing to fear when He is beside you. How I do it is I walk around with a laminate. It's about the size of a business card, maybe a little bigger. When I feel my faith waning a little bit, I pull it out and I recite the affirmation that I have on it. You can walk around with a few of these, or you can walk around with a specific card geared towards what your plans are for that day. How this works is that you say it over and over again to yourself until you feel what the card is saying. Napoleon Hill said, "Faith is a state of mind you may develop at will. Repetition of affirmation of orders to the subconscious mind is the only known method of voluntary development of faith." So as strange as it may sound, say it until you believe it. Don't get caught up with people who have what I call after-the-fact faith. You know what that is. Someone who tells you every way in which you're unable to achieve your goal. They have such little faith in you or the process that they try to discourage you from pursuing your dreams. Then when it does happen for you, when you do accomplish your goals, they jump around celebrating with you, shouting, "See, I told you so, I knew you could do it." These people serve no purpose but to kill your spirits and bring you down. If they can't get on board with the program from the beginning, supporting you after the fact is not really going to help. That's like the tail wagging the dog. The fifth fear beater is having a plan. Winston Churchill said, "He who fails to plan is planning to fail." Believe me when I tell you that if you're blindly going into movements without a plan, you're setting yourself up for failure. You're just wasting your time. Having a plan is one of the most important things you can do when you're beginning your journey to achieving the goals in your life. So take time to map out a plan. Then you do the most important thing. You work your plan. Do this and you will be successful. Now stepping away from fear because that's no longer a problem, let's delve into the second roadblock to success. Let's start with procrastination. Procrastinators always vacation on the same island. You've heard of it, haven't you? Someday I'll start school. Someday I'll get that gym membership. Someday I'll start writing that book. Someday I'll start writing that business plan. Someday I'll try to get that loan to start up my own business. Someday I'll get the nerve to ask that beautiful woman that comes to my job every day out for dinner. They love Someday I'll. They buy condos and timeshares on Someday I'll. Get off Someday I'll and get moving. Take the boat to Right Now Peninsula. I hear that's where everything is happening. Stop letting time pass you by. Stop letting your best life pass you by. It's time for you to get off your butt and start moving. Nothing will wait for you. Nothing will come to you. You have to go out and get it. You have to use cowboy diplomacy and go after life with a lasso and wrangle it down to the ground and make it do what you want it to. I've discovered 10 ways to beat procrastination that will absolutely work. I can say that because they have absolutely worked for me. Let's start with number 1. Make a to-do list. This is the best way to line up all your tasks for that day so that you don't spend valuable time wondering what to do next. One way for people to get discouraged about moving is if they feel overwhelmed with everything they have to do. But making a to-do list, it puts everything in a row and gives you a structure to work from. This way, you're not confused and subsequently discouraged from doing one task after the next. If you can make your to-do list the night before, this is also productive because you're not spending the time on the day of to make the list. Number 2, just do it. Just do it. Make a decision to get started on your task. Don't think about it, just get into the flow and you will see once you start, you will gain a momentum. There is nothing like the feeling of accomplishment. That's the feeling you will get when you, without giving it much thought, move into action. Even if you have to psych yourself up to get moving, Do it. Remind yourself you're not kids. You're a grown man or woman, and adults take care of their business. So make a choice to be an adult and take care of your business. Number 3, make it fun. Whatever it is you have to do, find something fun about it and focus on that as you do it. If there's nothing fun about it, you make it fun by bringing your own entertainment to make it fun. And by that, I mean listen to music, sing, dance, whatever makes you smile as you're working. When you're enjoying something you're doing, then you want to continue doing it. Once you finish the task, you'll feel such a feeling of accomplishment that you will be excited about starting your next task, whatever that is. Make it fun. Number 4, flow from one task into the next. Momentum is the key to beating procrastination. Don't take much time to relax between tasks. Flow from one thing into the next. That's the way to keep it going. If you do feel like you need a breather, then take a very short one, but not too long, or you will get lazy. A body in motion stays in motion. A body at rest stays at rest. Remember that. Number 5, start your hardest or most difficult task first. The hardest task should be the first on your to-do list. Too many of us get discouraged when we look ahead and think the worst is yet to come. That's enough to make you stop at a certain point. So to beat that, you start with the most difficult task first, then the second most difficult, and so on and so on. This way you look forward to things getting easier as you accomplish one task after the next. Number 6, give yourself a deadline. Make it a stiff deadline so that you don't find yourself not accomplishing the task. For instance, if you give yourself 2 hours to accomplish a task as opposed to 24 hours, most likely you'll do all you can to get it done within that time. But if you give yourself 24 hours to do that same task, then you will find distractions in between that time. So set realistic deadlines for your tasks. This way they're not drawn out for long periods of time. Number 7, turn off or remove the obvious distractions. Anything you know that distracts you, turn it off. Whether it be the television, the internet, the gossiping neighbor, turn it off. People can be one of the biggest distractions. Kindly say to anyone distracting you by calling you on your telephone, coming over to chat or hang out, not now. I'm in the middle of something, let's catch up later. And get back to work. Number 8, target one task at a time and work at it until completion. Do not multitask. Multitasking, although an admirable skill, only means you're giving partial effort to any of the tasks. Partial efforts usually gets partial results. Focus on one task at a time, and not only will you accomplish it faster, you will accomplish it better. Number 9, break larger tasks into smaller, more manageable steps. The more mini steps you accomplish, the more confidence you will feel about your ability to finish the goal. Last but not least, number 10, reward yourself for accomplishing your goals, primarily the ones on your to-do list. I make to-do lists all the time, and the feeling I get from accomplishing all the things on my list is unbelievable. I often reward myself by taking some time to watch a great movie, go to the park with my son, do some drawings, perhaps hang out with my friends, something to make me feel good for a job well done. It's important to reward yourself for your hard work. So, those are the 10 ways I've discovered to beat procrastination. Success roadblock number 3 is the comfort zone, or what Les Brown likes to call the danger zone. Too many of us would like to stop living a life of mediocrity, but are afraid to leave the comfortable situation we're in. Too many of us live by the devil you know is better than the devil that you don't know. Anyone using that phrase is saying, I'm too scared to move from where I am, that I may leave my current situation for a worse one. If you want something, playing it safe all the time is not going to get it for you. We have to take chances. But you know what? The more prepared we are, the less of a chance it becomes. The more our steps are planned out, the less of a chance we will feel like we're taking. So always have a plan. We have to be willing to take risks in order to grow. Every situation can be learned from. It doesn't matter what happens outside of your comfort zone, you will learn from it, and your lesson must lead to action. I'm not saying take leaps and bounds out of your comfort zone. It doesn't have to be that way. You can take little steps out of your comfort zone, achieve small successes out of your circle of comfort. Then go out a little further, then a little further, Then before you know it, you'll be looking for the next challenge to conquer outside of your comfort zone. After a while, you have no circle of comfort stopping you from pursuing your success. The universe will be your comfort zone, and with that, your possibilities will be limitless. Stepping out of your comfort zone gives us a new perspective on things. It's a place we've never been before, so we see things differently. You may have to limit your time with your peer group because if they refuse to want something better for themselves, so will you. You will be influenced by the people you are around the most. So step out and surround yourself with like-minded people. People who make the money you want to make, drive the cars you want to drive, date the beautiful women or men you want to date, own the businesses you want to own. They will rub off on you. They will inspire you to rise to their level just by being in their world. Please don't go around telling your friends that I deleted you off my Facebook page because Kirk Abrigo said that you guys are holding me back. I'm not in any way telling you to get rid of your friends. But when it comes to doing the things you want and achieving the goals you set for yourself, you have to also associate yourself with people who have those things already. It's not what you're accustomed to for sure, but it's a great way to get into a consciousness of achieving. So whatever it is you're trying to do, don't get stopped at the door. Try new things. Try different things towards achieving your goals. If what you tried before isn't working, do not be afraid to step out of your comfort zone. Be innovative. Be refreshed with ideas. Be more open. Be more free. But be out there doing whatever it takes to make your dreams come true. Roadblock to success number 4 is lack of faith. Before, we spoke of lack of faith in yourself. This time, it's about lack of faith in general. It doesn't matter what faith you are. Most people believe in something bigger than themselves, guiding them through the tough times. Something helping them out when things seem to be at their most bleak. Whether to you it's God or Buddha, Allah, Thor, God of Thunder, or just the universe. Most people take comfort in the fact that there is someone or something to ask for help when things get too much for them, when they need strength. This thing is an infinite source of energy, faith, and abundance. It's the life spring from which you flow. I call it God. You may call it something different. If not for the strength I constantly derive from God, if not for the courage, if not for the knowledge, if not the confidence I got from my belief in God and in prayer, I would not be speaking here today. In my toughest times, the amazing comfort that I got from praying and talking to God cannot be measured. From an early age, my mother instilled in my brother and I that God is not a fair-weathered friend. On a regular basis, it's always easiest to talk to God and thank Him for your blessed life. When everything is good, it's easy to say thank you, God, for your many blessings, and I ask you to continue to bless me always. But what about when things seem to be stacked up against you? What happens to a lot of us when we hit a wall? We start to lose faith. We stop praying because we have this subconscious belief that if there is a God, why would He let me suffer like this? That's how a lot of us treat faith, as something to embrace when times are at their best. I was blessed enough to grow up in a family that prayed all the time. My mom and my uncle who raised me always had us praying for something. We prayed every birthday, every New Year's Eve, every time things got tough, we would fast. My mom and my uncle were never really church-going people, but I've never met two people with such faith and conviction and belief in God than they have. When I made the decision to become a motivational speaker, I shared it with a lot of my friends. So most of them knew I was studying to do this for a living. So one day, out of the blue, one of my good friends called me up. She said to me, "Kirk, I have my best friend here, and she's crying her eyes out because she doesn't know what to do about her boyfriend." I said, "Okay, but why are you calling me?" She said, "Well, I don't know what to tell her." And I figured, you being a motivational speaker and all, you could give her some good advice to deal with her situation. As practice for when you're doing it for real. I asked, "What's her situation? Did they just break up?" She said, "No." "Did he hit her?" She said, "No." I said, "Is he cheating on her?" She said, "No." I said, "Then what's the problem?" She said, "He's married." I said, "I'll be right over." So now I'm on my way over to the house. I'm a little nervous, and I'm thinking, here's my first chance to help someone, and I don't want to screw it up. So I started to psych myself up. I could hear the Rocky theme in my head. I was just telling myself whatever I needed to get the confidence to go there and help this girl out. So I'm saying to myself, "Yeah, Kirk, you're the motivational guru. You're the best. You're the Michael Jordan of motivational coaching. Anthony Robbins has nothing on you. You're the man with the master plan. God is with you always, and he won't steer you wrong. Just have faith. So all the way over, I'm mentally pumping myself up. Because if I don't look or sound like I know what I'm talking about, she won't believe me or respect what I have to say. I get over to my friend's house, which is about 3 blocks away from me. I introduced myself to her best friend, who was still sobbing and crying on my friend's living room couch. By this time, I was full of confidence, and I had tremendous faith. Now, I was Kirk Abrigo, super life coach. I sat next to her on the couch and asked her, what's the matter? She stated loudly, my boyfriend's a jerk. I said, really? What did he do? She said, he says he's going to leave his wife for me, and he hasn't done it yet. I've been seeing him for 2 years, and he's still with her. At this point, I looked up and silently said to God, it's my first day out. You had to throw me into the deep end? Sheesh. I took a breath, I held her hand, and I said, you're so pretty. I'm sure you can get any man you want. Why would you choose a man that's already taken? She said it just happened. I said, nothing just happens. You wanted it to happen. I can't help it. I love him, she said. I said, well, how's the marriage? Is it a bad one? She said, no, his wife is crazy about him. That's the problem. He doesn't know how to let her go. I said, do they have children? She said, yes, 2 boys. But he can still see them if we're together. He's not leaving them, just her. I said, well, okay, so let me get this straight. You're dating a married man. You want to break up his happy marriage. You want to take away his time with his kids. And you're calling him the jerk? She looks at me and says, what kind of motivational speaker are you? You're supposed to be on my side. I said, I am on your side. And as someone on your side, I'm telling you, you're the bad guy in this. The good news is I have a solution to your problem. She says, oh, really? I said, yeah. I said, it's actually a very simple solution. She said, what is it? I said, leave that man and his family alone. He's not your boyfriend. He's another woman's husband. Go out and find yourself a real boyfriend. She looked at me and said, that's not helping. If I could leave him, don't you think I would have done it already? I said, you can leave him. You just don't want to. But you must if you want to stop your pain. I continued to tell her he will never leave his happy home with his children to be with you. And even if he was crazy enough to do that, what makes you think he won't do the same thing to you? I encouraged her to start dating other people and never call him or answer his phone calls again. Delete the number, no more communication with this man. She agreed. You see, having faith and believing that God was not going to hang me out to dry gave me the comfort I needed to not worry about what I was going to say and have that worry affect the advice I was going to give an obviously misguided young lady. In life, whatever we do, we may run into obstacles that seem to be insurmountable. That is the time you must practice your faith. And yes, I say practice because like everything else, for it to get stronger, it must be exercised. It doesn't matter what it is you believe in, but whatever it is, turn to it in times you feel the weakest. Know that God is there for you, not to remove your mountains, but to give you the strength to get over them. Nothing can be learned from having your problems removed, but everything is learned and gained by working through your problems. Not only do you come out stronger, you come out smarter. So faith is important, and it must be practiced, and I guarantee you that the so-called tough times will not seem so tough. That was the same advice I gave the young lady. It worked well enough because she's dating one of my friends now. He was single when they met, FYI. Let's talk about roadblock number 5. Negative outside influence. On this one, I'm going to start off by saying, get the negativity out of your life. Try to surround yourself or spend more time with your positive friends, family members, people who are more likely to uplift you and tell you that you can do whatever you put your mind to, as opposed to people who, no matter what, can only see the negative aspect of everything. The one thing we don't need is someone stomping on our dreams by telling us what we cannot do. We know the life we want. If we're not happy in our current situation, then we need to change it. So what do? How do we affect change in our lives? Well, it's very simple. For our lives to change, our situations to change, the change must first come from us. I know you must be saying this is motivational jargon I already know. Then if you know it, why aren't you doing it? Why aren't you stepping up to the plate to make the changes you need to have the life for yourself that you want? The answer? There is no reason. Now is the time. Now is always the time to affect change. To start, you must ask yourself these 5 questions. Am I thinking the way I need to think to achieve the life I want? Am I acting the way I need to act to achieve the life I want? Am I praying the way I need to pray to achieve the life I want? Do I have the right attitude it takes to achieve the life I want? Am I moving the way I should and at the pace I should to achieve the life I want? These are very important questions to answer. When the answer to all of them is yes, then you're on your way. If the answer to any of them is no, then you have some changes to make. You have to change your thinking so that you get right-minded towards achieving your desired goal. Don't be someone sitting around a few years from now thinking about the opportunities you let pass you by, or that you should have moved when you had the chance. Make your move now. It's like my mom says all the time, get right or get left. Don't get left, get moving. Now, let's talk about roadblock to success number 6. That gets to the heart of this moment, this very moment. Lack of motivation. Let's face it, I can get you juiced about the things I say. I can get you pumped and excited as I'm saying them, because as I say them, it starts to make sense to you. You see the possibilities before you, you hear the excitement in my voice, and it resonates with you. So this gets you in a state of mind to get moving. When you're done listening, you're ready to take on the world. You're ready to do all the things you need to do to achieve success. I can imagine a lot of you now. Your eyes are open wide and you can't wait to go out and make the life you want, now that I've given you the tools you need. But do you know what happens when you stop listening to this CD? The effect starts to wear off. So that after a week, you're back to square one. And it's not fair to say that's true for all of us, but it's true for most of us. What we have to learn is no matter what we're doing and at what time, we have to remain focused and motivated to move. We have to have an attitude of action. If your goal is to get rich, lose weight, buy a house, start your own business, whatever it is you want to stay motivated to do, we have to maintain that attitude of action. So if you feel yourself losing motivation, forgetting what we talked about, losing focus, then listen to this CD again or take it with you when you're out and about. If you need a reminder and if you need to get motivated to move off your butt to affect the change you want in your life, put in this CD. Put it in the car as you're driving. Put it in the CD player as you're in the kitchen washing dishes. Download it onto your MP3 player, your iPod. Listen to it while you're at the gym, on the treadmill. Wherever and whenever you feel you need it to pump you up, listen to it. You may not even need to hear my voice talking to you to get you moving. Whatever it takes to motivate you, do it. Some people get motivated by music. I love music. Nothing gets my juices flowing like a high energy song with a great beat. I love to work out in the mornings, but sometimes when I get up, I may feel like I'm not motivated to work out today. I put on the headphones and I listen to my music and it gets me going. I know that a lot of us are strong and having the information is enough to get some of us moving. But motivation isn't to get strong. Motivation to move is to stay strong. Like with everything else in life, when we use it a lot, we have to replenish it so that we can continue to use it again. Like the human body with food, a car with gas, a phone with a charger, you get the idea. So those are the usual roadblocks. Now you have the tools you need to get over them. So any roadblocks you may encounter, choose to see them not as problems to avoid, but challenges to overcome. Now let's talk about how to think your dreams into reality. I'm going to give you tools to get your mind right. A man cannot directly choose his circumstances, but he can choose his thoughts, and so indirectly, yet surely, shape his circumstances. That's a quote from James Allen, author of As a Man Thinketh. We as human beings are not aware of how much our thoughts shape our lives. We think that we're here because things happen. We are where we are in our lives because we have no control of the path our lives take, so we just react to our environment. But that's not true. Our thoughts shape our very lives. That's why it's important that when you are in the process of changing your life for the better, you constantly see that better life for yourself. The life you want, you must focus on it every day. Take 5 minutes a day to just sit down and visualize the life you want, the life you're moving towards. Now, I'm not saying constantly stare into a mirror and concentrate on the future 24 hours a day. That would be crazy. But keep it in consciousness. See the house you want, see the wife, the kids, the car, the opportunities that you want, and your life will start to take shape into those thoughts. As I said at the beginning, the things we need to make the life we want are always around us. But if you not concentrate on the life you want, all the things that will get you to that life comes into crystal clear focus. That's when you take action. Action and thought working in unison are unbeatable. So when the opportunities begin to shape, take advantage of them. Imagination is one of the greatest gifts God gave to man because it gave man the power to shape his life. Everything that is and ever will be was first imagined. The car, the microwave oven, the computer, all of those were conceived in the minds of a man, then achieved by action being taken. One of my favorite movies, The Karate Kid, illustrated this point in a somewhat subtle way, but it was there. It was the scene where Mr. Miyagi was working on a bonsai tree, trimming it to the way he wanted it to look. Young Daniel comes into his office where he's trimming the tree. Curious, Daniel asks him about the tree. So Mr. Miyagi places him in front of the tree and says, "You try trimming." Daniel is nervous and says, "Nah, I don't want to do it. I'll mess it up. I don't know how to do this." So Mr. Miyagi tells him to be still. He says, "Close your eyes. See the picture of how you want the tree to look." And Daniel does it. He closes his eyes. He starts to concentrate. Mr. Miyagi continues to tell him, "Concentrate on tree. Only on tree. Clear mind of everything else. Only tree. Make perfect picture of tree. Perfect picture of how you want the tree to look." He then says, "You got it?" Daniel shakes his head, "Yes." Mr. Miyagi says, "Open your eyes." He gives him the shears and says, "Make like picture." He was teaching Daniel how to visualize, how to focus on something, then make it happen. That's what you have to do. This method has worked for me before in so many ways, so it's not something I read somewhere or saw on The Secret that I never put into use. The very fact that I'm recording this CD is the result of positive visualization. One of the things to use is a vision board. A vision board is a board to put up all the things you want to have in your life. You basically cut out pictures and make a collage of the life you want. I have one. Those 5 minutes a day I spoke about earlier, it should be spent in front of your vision board. See your life as it is on the vision board. Feel as if you already have that life and give thanks for that life. And when you move from in front of it, stay in the mindset that you are living the life that you want on the board. Feel it. And your mind will start to shape the things in your life that will bring that life to you. Much like when I decided I wanted to print t-shirts, how the book I've had on my shelf for 2 years almost jumped out at me one day I walked into my office. Man is what he thinks about all day long. That is what the law of attraction is all about. But it's very important that you take note of the last 6 letters in the word attraction. Action. Do not get the notion that these things are immediate. It will take time for the seeds of your thoughts to get sown into the universe to produce fruit. So be persistent in your thoughts, no matter what. Everything takes work. Having faith, visualizing, it takes practice to keep it going. Like a muscle, it gets stronger when you work it out. So don't just give up if you feel as though the things you want aren't happening fast enough. Things take time. Liken the mind to a garden. Once you plant the seeds, it takes time to see the results. It takes nurturing, watering. It takes work to pull out the weeds so that they don't ruin your garden. So be prepared to get busy. What you put in is what you will get out. The only place that success comes before work is in the dictionary. Life is a give and take, ladies and gentlemen. If you want riches, if you want to be a millionaire, you can't be a cheap person. There's no such thing as something for nothing. Getting starts by giving. This is the law of the universe, people. Whether it be giving of yourself, helping your elderly neighbor by going to do her shopping for her when a snowstorm the night before was 15 feet, or money, donating to your favorite charity, be a giver. It shows. People will recognize it and treat you accordingly. Most of you are probably givers already. Have you ever been somewhere, whether it be in the park, on the streets, in the subway station, or at the bus stop, and you see a beggar? That beggar walks past 15 to 20 other people, doesn't ask them a word, but stops at you and asks you for money? That happens to me constantly. If it's never happened to you and someday it does, don't let the chance to give pass you by. I have a joke for you. A beggar walked up to a well-dressed woman shopping on Rodeo Drive and said, "I haven't eaten anything in 4 days." She looked at him and said, "My God, I wish I had your willpower." Some people just don't get it. Don't be one of those people. Now, we have the tools. Now you know what you need to do to have the life you want. There are no excuses as to why it shouldn't happen to you if you want it. Make the decision to be ready and get moving. Believe me when I tell you there is nothing you can't do once you put your mind to it. Human history is full of examples of the impossible becoming possible once thought and action are working together. Once you have something driving you, you cannot be stopped. If you think you have limits stopping you from accomplishing your dreams, then you are right. If you think nothing can stop you from accomplishing your dreams, then you are also right. You see, whether you can or can't is completely up to you. So know that you can. Know that you can. Know that you will, and know that you are unstoppable and nothing is in your way but yourself. The time is now, ladies and gentlemen. The life you want is waiting out there for you. You just have to decide to go out and get it. Decide that you will be successful no matter what it takes. When you finish listening to this CD, I want you to take a few minutes to close your eyes. See a clear picture of what you want to accomplish. See it vividly. Once you have that picture, open your eyes, make like picture. I'm Kirk Abrigo, and thank you for listening. Now get moving!